I'm the father of 4 children, married to my beautiful wife Deborah, who's here today. We have a ninth grandchild due any day, which is exciting. But look, I'm concerned for the country. I'm concerned for my kids and my grandkids and what they're inheriting in Australia. And it's time for people to stand up, and I felt that I should stand up and be counted for what I believe in. Well, as I said, I'm a Lake Macquarie councillor. I'm in my second term. I've just begun my second term, and I would like to take it another step up and be a bit more influential. And so, I've decided to run with One Nation, whose policies I 100% agree with. Now, I'm number 2 candidate on the Senate in New South Wales. So I'm looking forward to being in the Senate with Pauline, if possible. I think there's certainly a movement away from the major parties, and I think that people are fed up with the policies that are going on, and people just want politicians to be real. And so I don't have to pretend to be something in order to be a candidate. I just need to speak. You know, what I like about the difference between council and maybe becoming a senator in the federal parliament is that there I can speak really what I want to speak, whereas on council it's not quite so easy to do that. I think it's pretty much across the board, mate. Like young people can't afford houses. I've got children who can't afford to buy a house. They've got a rent, and yet there's people that I know too who are my friends who can't even get a rental. So this is a big problem, and we're just taking more and more people in from overseas, and we need to get infrastructure before we can do that. I think the parties had a lot of trip ups, and even initially when Pauline had to go to jail because she didn't have enough members, that was a crock. There was just the politicians who didn't like her who set her up for that, and as soon as it was proven she did have enough members, she was let out. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of people who've gotten involved with One Nation over the years that have caused problems. But I think with this new push and the people that are joining, such as the candidates that are here today, are people who are just ordinary people who want to see our country preserved, our freedoms preserved, and those sorts of things. Mate, it's a big issue. What I love about those guys is they're ordinary people, and they're just like me. They're people who want to get, if the country wasn't going the way it's going, we wouldn't probably be here. We'd probably be happy to sit back and let others do it. But others aren't standing up, and what One Nation's on about is not the woke beliefs of the left. And so the mainstream media and politicians, parliamentarians are trying to shut it down. I think a lot of Labor people are waking up, and I was in the last state election, and I was also involved in the last federal election, and there was a swing away from Labor even in these electorates here in Newcastle. I think the groundswell's on. I think it's continuing. I think we could come up with some big surprises when election day comes. I think politicians that are in currently, not all of them. There's some great politicians in there, but for the majority, they've forgotten about the people. They don't care about the people. What they care about is line their own pockets and staying in power. And it's like under any conditions you've got to stay in power. And so, we've seen a budget come out that's very much an election budget, and there's been some good things. I'm not poo-pooing all of that, but I just think that it's people have got to wake up and stop being bought, and think about what really is at stake, and think past their loyalties to the Labor Party. You see, the Labor Party is like a big family, and you just don't vote against the Labor Party, and if you do, then you're excommunicated. But there are people who are game to stand up and who are concerned about the situation at hand. Well, mate, I haven't told you this yet, but I'm a pastor, and so that very much impacts on me, what happens there. And one of the reasons that I want to run with One Nation, it's the only party at the moment that is backing the Judeo-Christian ethic. Mark Latham, I've seen him put words up on Facebook such as, the four favourite words that he likes to speak. I am a Christian, Now, I think, and he believes, he's not really a religious person, but he believes that the Judeo-Christian ethic that our society's been built on, the society can't exist without that. And so I can support that wholeheartedly and say, you're right, Mark, and so same with Pauline, and it's actually one of One Nation's. It's not one of their policies per se, but it's certainly one of their ethics, and I just fully support that. Well, I think One Nation takes a Christian view on that. They're anti-abortion. There's a lot of these laws that are just getting more and more absurd. I only heard something this week about the introduction of abortion, a mother having the right to abort a baby up to 5 days after it's born. I mean, when do we get to the point where it's murder? And we already have full-term abortion and part birth abortion. So that's very much a Christian concern. There's like 50 million babies on average a year are aborted around the world. And how many Abraham Lincolns have we killed? How many people who have a lot of wisdom have we really put to death? And the womb has become one of the most dangerous places to be. Because, if the mother doesn't want you, then you don't have a vote. You just have to go. The other thing is that you mentioned was euthanasia.
Yep.
And look, I'm not 100%, this is just me personally, I'm not 100% against euthanasia, except from the fact that it's going to become another political issue, and this is what happens. This is what's happened to abortion, and it's going to happen with euthanasia, and they're going to roll out all these people who want to be put to death, and they choose to do that, and there will be, but see, when it becomes political, they cross the line of moral, and suddenly, you turn an X number birthday, and it's time you went. So let's just give them an extra bit of morphine or whatever. And look, being a pastor, I've seen this a few times myself, and I've even talked to medical people about it, that, they go into what's called palliative care, and they just keep increasing the morphine dose to keep the pain away, but it's also to, you get enough morphine, you and me are all going to die.
And the other one is our religious rights or our ability to practice our Judeo-Christian ethics in schools and in the community. And as a pastor, how do you think that's going to impact on you?
Well, mate, I think if we lose our religious freedom, we're losing our democracy for sure. I mean, I said before, and I believe it, is that when we don't have freedom of speech, you've lost your democracy. We've already lost our democracy, but the left want to take it further and deeper into the abyss and want it to get lost. The interesting thing is that history shows, like in Russia, when they tried to stamp out Christians and all religions, they actually had a revival amongst young people, and they thought that when the older religious people died, that it would all die out, but it didn't happen. It was a resurgence in the young people. So in one sense, for that reason, if that's what's going to happen, and I do believe it will be, then I'm not all that worried in one sense, because really, in a way, is when Constantine made Christianity the official religion, it kind of lost a lot of its power because it was legal to be that. But when the church is opposed, it really grows. It's someone said once that Christianity is like a hammer and a nail. The harder you hit it, the further you drive it home.